Okay, so you made multiple comments on my video, so I'm going to kind of like sum up the gist of what you're saying and address some of the things that you're talking about. Once again, we seem to be on the topic of children getting baptized and devoting themselves to an organization when they are way too young to really know what they're getting themselves into. So let's start with this issue of accountability. Accountability to who and for what? The organization has had a long track record of punishing and disfellowshipping people for things that were supposedly sins, and now the organization has changed their stance on those things. So they held them accountable for something that wasn't, according to them, was never wrong. Just as a couple of examples, people were disfellowshipped for taking treatments that had blood fractions in them, and now the organization says that those treatments are acceptable. People were disfellowshipped for taking organ transplants back when the organization said that that was cannibalism. People were disfellowshipped for getting divorced from their spouse back when the organization said that adultery could only be performed if the sex that you're having with someone could be the type of sex that could possibly produce a child. So if any other sexual act took place, it didn't count as porneia or adultery, so there could not be, or a divorce could not be obtained. And if someone sought a divorce after finding out that their spouse cheated on them, but just didn't cheat on them in the right way, then they would be disfellowshipped. But now the organization says that that's totally okay. That's not getting to the multiple people who have been disfellowshipped for refusing to teach something that they didn't believe and stated that it wasn't true, and the organization disfellowshipped them for apostasy, only for a couple years later for the organization to change their doctrine on that thing. So it wasn't true in the first place. So it's honestly hard to know exactly what you mean by being held accountable, because it sounds just like being forced or blackmailed into going along with whatever the current opinions of the governing body happen to be at any given time. And this whole issue with accountability, I really think, gets to an insecurity of Jehovah's Witnesses as far as how they view their fellow worshipers. And it reminds me of the story of Job and how witnesses portray the story of Job, because they say that Satan was challenging Job's integrity and saying, look, Job is only staying loyal to you because you are protecting him. If you weren't protecting him, he wouldn't stay loyal to you. And that's basically the same claim that most witnesses make about their fellow members, is that if they were not being blackmailed with the loss of their families, if the disfellowshipping arrangement wasn't on the table, they wouldn't be loyal to God and they wouldn't maintain their beliefs.